greetings. Welcome in. Bettor's Last Stand here, coming to you from the Pine Room Studio. Matt and Chris here with you. Coach out on some final end-of-season paint duties as we await the final couple of really warm days of the fall, and then it looks like it's going to turn for good down to the 50s, the 40s, and on down till it gets really cold and it's miserable outside. But I'll enjoy the 50s and 40s for a while.
Yes.
But I don't know. It's decent out there today. A little warm in the sun, but nice breeze and nice temperature, air quality in the shade. So anyway, it's Bettor's Last Stand. Another week in the books football-wise. This is our 59th episode of Bettor's Last Stand as we march on to Week 9 of college football, Week 8 of the NFL. It's hard to imagine. It's more than halfway gone. We got high school playoffs starting up this week in Ohio. So if you haven't checked out Football Fridays, noon to 3 on the Watchdog, give us a listen. We'll have comprehensive breakdowns and picks in our Duggar's Saucy Spread Week 10, our Duggar's Saucy Spread Challenge Week number 10, as we march on. 2 weeks to go in West Virginia. Ohio in the playoffs, as I mentioned, and football is kind of at least a third of the way done from all capacities. Yes. Even the NFL, Chris, says it's. I'm glad it's getting. That means it's closer to being over. What are your thoughts?
You know what? I'm in total agreement with you, Matt. This past weekend we were doing the pickleball at Ogilvy, and I didn't get to see a damn thing, and I was perfectly fine with that until I met you guys at the vets right at the end of that Browns game.
Yeah,
and just it's a continuing story with these referees and the officiating and how just
it's not talked about enough.
Blatant. Well, did you see McAfee did about a 13-minute thing just actually questioning the integrity of these guys.
Good.
That something.
About time.
Oh yeah, he called him out and saying.
I'm surprised he's allowed to do that, but on that stupid channel.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he was pretty adamant about that in saying, he may have even mentioned the head referee or the line judge, whoever was making those bad calls in a Browns game, and said, well, he should be investigated. His wife, his brother, his sister, and his.
No doubt.
I mean, because those calls didn't make any sense.
No, they didn't, and they benefited the Browns. It benefited me that day, but they were outrageous, and that's where you'll find a lot of people who can't be objective. But I'll straight up tell you, most of the guys in our group will say, well, I shouldn't say that because some of them are nuts, but most of the sane people that we know will be like, okay, I got a break there. That was a terrible call. Like, it's okay.
Yes.
You can say that.
Yes.
Like, that's what happened in that Browns game. And we're going to talk a little bit when we get into college. College football appalled me on Saturday. I wasn't inebriated, so I paid a little bit more attention on. That was my mistake.
I only know of one thing, and you're probably going to touch on it. In college,
it was ridiculous. College football out of control, NFL out of control. These guys have no accountability.
Nope.
They continue to get away with it. They're the only profession on the earth, other than weathermen, that you perform at such a poor level and you do not get fired. And people are right for questioning integrity. I've said that for years, and I think it is time for these leagues, various leagues, NCAA, whatever you want to call it. It's not even really a league. I don't even know what it is. It's like it's almost like a crime syndicate in the NCAA.
Yes.
They just choose their own rules and knock off who they want to knock off. But professional leagues, if you want to get all the benefits that betting is giving to you, the exposure, the television ratings, all so forth, you need to have integrity, and you need to be sure that the people that are wearing your patch on their jerseys as they referee a game are held accountable, held to the same standards as the fucking players.
Yes.
I mean, the players, you're getting scolded for it, and they shouldn't be doing it either. Yeah. I mean, you can't just say, well, the players, they can't bet, they can't have this, they can't have ties to it, and then everybody questions the player's integrity. Oh, he must have had money on the game. The more likely culprit is the guy making like 1/100th of what that pro player is making. Who is more likely to take a payoff?
Yep.
A guy who makes $50,000 a year or a guy who makes $15 million? Probably the guy that makes $50,000. So that never made sense to me, and I hate it when people say that, not just because I work in it. It makes me mad when people say Vegas fixed games. That pisses me off. It's just not fucking true, and it makes me mad about when they talk about pro players fixing games, because you know as well as I do, Chris, out of those NFL guys, if they have 55 dudes dressed on a Sunday, 45 of them are set for their lives. Like maybe 10 dudes at marginal contracts, practice squad call-up type guys that may not even have an impact on the game anyway. So it would be silly for a guy to jeopardize millions to win a couple thousand in a betting. You're not going to be able to get down $50 million on a side. People don't get that part either. It's just silly.
Well, and you talk about the accountability, Matt. So we'll stay focused on football. So when a coach makes and we've seen it several times, when a coach makes a horrible decision, costs his team games, players doing stupid things that cost their team games,
right?
They have to, some of them, well, most of them, I don't know if they're required, but they gotta face the music.
Correct.
They gotta go up there and sit in front of the press,
yes,
and answer tough questions,
yep.
And yet. A guy that's just throwing random flags and making up these penalties along the way, they skate. Nobody. I mean, why can't they be put in front of the media and say, what did you see here that everybody else saw? What did you see? And ask them why they make these calls. And again, that is probably one of the main reasons why you and I have soured so much on football, especially the NFL.
That's number one. I find that somebody else other than the actual guys playing the game impact the outcomes, and I don't like that, and I don't think it's right. And one game can be different than the next. It could be the exact same play, the exact same situation, and you got a different interpretation. And to me, that just doesn't sit well with me, and that's not the sign of a good product. Quality control is very important. We talk about it a ton on our various shows, our Pine Room Studio shows. From food is a common example, or just service industry. You want the same thing. The best products are the ones that are the same every time, and that's not the case with these leagues. And I get it. There's variable outcomes that are going to be different and things like that. I understand, but different interpretations, different rules, different crews who just decide, well, I'm gonna throw more personal foul flags than this other crew. That's just not okay. And it's not even okay in baseball to me that the umpire strike zones are all different. I think that's bullshit too.
Yes, it is. But in the NFL, do you think it would really make a difference if these guys were full-time? I don't. I mean, maybe a little bit. But these guys know the game. They know the rules.
No.
But I heard a guy saying
that's a cop-out excuse is what that is.
They said, oh, well, these guys need to be full-time. And what the fuck are they going to do between Monday and Saturday?
Exactly, because they're not working on their craft. They're going to be out golfing and doing whatever else they want to do, which they probably do already. I don't find that. Like, what's going to make them bet? I don't understand that. You're telling me that's going to solve all the problems? I'd be stunned if the quality improved at all. If that happened. That's just a dumb thought.
Especially for these just bogus calls that cost teams games.
Yes.
I mean,
no ramifications.
Do these guys ever do they get suspended?
No.
Or even if they do, it's hush hush.
Oh, it's hush hush. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So and so's out this week from the changed out of the crew. You never hear that. Yeah. And I think the TV networks. I think in my mind the executives need to go to the league and say, you need to be more transparent with this stuff. You need to put these guys in front of a media panel, even if they have to go on with our network people where they're kind of protected from the regular media. They need to be on there. In a controversial ending, they should be in the press room after the teams or before, actually. And you should always have that. That should be right there, available for people to question, and it should be like that all the time. There's just no reason not to have it. If you're the networks, you're paying a ton of money for this stuff. And the other problem that we have now, too, is injuries. These teams hiding injury stuff. It is ridiculous. Then, again, talk about lack of integrity, lack of transparency, flat out lying to people to try to get people off your tracks. Like, okay, we're going to fool them this week. We're not going to tell them that our starting quarterback's not playing. I hate it. It's all through the college ranks. You're seeing it. You're seeing it through the pro sports. No one wants to, disclose what the injury actually is, how long a person's going to be out. It's ridiculous. And here again, though, they got the handout for the money that's coming from all the people that are betting, subscribing to all these shitty TV services that they're forced to buy now. And it's just criminal. But our dumb people continue to watch. I have less football on probably in my house than any other sport. I just don't watch. I don't like it. Even if I do have it on, the commentators are muted, and it's just strictly following it. And then if I really want to watch a game, I may DVR and fast forward through some of the stuff to see some things, just so I'm educated enough on what happened. But I don't waste my time with it. It's awful. 98% of the games that I've watched this year in football, of both pro and college, have been absolutely horrible. Whether the teams suck, the coaches suck, the officials suck, or all three in the same game. That's all happens.
And I think too, they have to do something about some of these rules and just eliminate. I mean, there are so many rules, and obviously, fucking probably like 80% of them benefit the offense, but I mean, just there, and we say it over and over and over again. Every time something good happens to your team, whether they make a great defensive player score,
hold your breath.
Yeah, and then you see the yellow flag come out, and then it is so frustrating. And I can see why, people that just get tired of it.
But I don't know how. I don't know. Maybe we're just impatient people. I don't know. I don't know what that says about us. But these people flock to these games. They go to the games and they pay all this money. And I mean, the product return on investment is just horrible. But anyway, I mean, good for them. But I mean, I wouldn't do it. You couldn't pay me to go to an NFL game. I really don't think you could.
You'd almost have to have.
I mean, it'd have to be a lot of money.
Red carpet rolled out for you.
I mean, if you pay me like $5,000 to go to the Steeler game, drive up there, fight. I mean, that might be the low amount. Like, that's the least amount that I would actually go for.
Right.
It's just not worth it.
Well, and this really wasn't a referee's fault, but just the rules in general. Like the Rams-Steeler game, they couldn't challenge
ridiculous.
that.
Ridiculous.
Because they were out of timeouts.
Ridiculous.
And I think you made a point that Sunday. Like, well, what if they really had to use? They obviously they were out of timeouts, but. Oh, well, sorry. Even though we fucked it up, you can't challenge it because you don't have a timeout.
That's not okay. There's got to be a caveat that they build in. How can these people be so short-minded and or narrow-minded, whatever you want to call it, short-sighted? How can they be leaders, executives? Roger Goodell is worth so much money, beyond what he ever should be. He is he's the perfect shirt ever. Maybe the best shirt ever made is him with that clown face. It's an exact depiction of what he is.
Well, he's basically a puppet to the owner,
right? But and a lot of times these owners have egos and they want dumb people in charge because they'll never want to feel like that there's a guy that's smarter than them. Well, they don't have to worry because as dumb as some of them are, they've all made billions. Roger Goodell has been handed hundreds of millions for doing very, very little and a very poor job at what he has done. How you cannot have built in there an extreme circumstance where a team is out of timeouts? Why wouldn't you just say, okay, if you don't get this challenge, it's a 15-yard penalty or a loss of down? Like, that's a simple solution. Like, what? Why? What if you had teams that really, truly needed these timeouts? You're trying to win games. The timeout's supposed to be a resource for the coach. Yes. It's not supposed to just be for challenges. And that's a poor job. So you should either give the teams a fourth timeout, which I'm against because I hate them. I think you should get one timeout a half. I don't think you should get three. And I say it in basketball, too. You should get one timeout a half. That's all. Yep. But I know they'll never do that because it's TV, and that's all they want is commercials. But you have an opportunity to do a review, which would help the TV. So if I'm the TV networks, I'm fighting for that. It's like, okay, we're gonna have another review. This guy's out of timeouts, but he's gonna be facing a 15-yard penalty if he doesn't get this challenge right. Okay, we're going to go to another commercial. We'll be back and tell you what happened. Like, so that's perfect for them too, but it's inexcusable for a game to be decided right there because you're not letting what happened on the field. It was blatantly missed call. It was a horrible spot.
It was.
And you just and then again, I don't understand the so it's got to be under 2 minutes, meaning 1:59. So 1 second difference because that play that went down to the 2-minute warning at that juncture.
It did.
But it wasn't under 2 minutes, so it couldn't be an automatic review. Again, that's a flawed system. That is a flawed system. Why would it make a difference if the biggest play in NFL history, not that was this, but if that happened with 2:01 left in the game, it couldn't be reviewed. But at 1:59, it could be. Think about that. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. If the Immaculate Reception happened and they had it back in review and the Steelers had no timeouts, and they called an incomplete or the other who are they playing? The Raiders?
Yeah.
So the Raiders had no timeouts. They couldn't challenge it. But the ball could have been in all the shots we had. It was laying on the ground, which it was, but it couldn't be reviewed. But 2 seconds later, it could have been reviewed. It could have changed history. They got a fucking statue of it in the Pittsburgh airport. Everything's different if that happens.
Well,
2 seconds difference.
Yes, and
silly.
And talking about all these penalties, I mean, do you think? And I don't know what goes on in Goodell's office and all his deputies and all his other big shots in his organization, but God, if that's you and I, and we got, I mean, maybe these guys are just told to shut up, but if you just said, hey, Mr. Godell, this is becoming unwatchable. There's fucking multiple stupid penalties. I mean,
he's gonna say the stats don't lie. That's what he's gonna say, and he wouldn't be wrong.
As far as what?
TV ratings, just the revenue that the league generates. I mean, he has that. I mean, that's why I think he has a false premonition that the things are good. So yeah, but
even believe it or not, the other day I think twice because we have had different functions going on, like on a Saturday, even this past Sunday.
Yeah.
Mark, of all guys, said, "Boy, I didn't miss football at all today."
No. He loves the college though, which is just as bad, but maybe not to the level as far as the entitlement of the NFL. But it's a problem. But I know that's what he would fall back on and say, well, the numbers say that we're king of the world. So
well, I hope those numbers dip.
I do too. But I don't know what other sports are pushing to take some of the market share. No. Unfortunately, this soccer that's on right now isn't visible enough in our country, which is sad. But anyway, moving on. Another tough week for us. BLS-wise, we were down 11 units again. A little better than last week. We had some decent performances in some things, but not overall, not very good. Sam 2-3 in NASCAR, 1-3 in F1. Coach 2-3-1 in college football, 1-2 in pro. He was down about 2.5 units on the week. His bets were 1-1. Chris, you were 3-5 in college, 2-4-1 in NFL, minus 490 on the week. But you were 2-0 in your best bets. So if people just did those, they were all right. I was 7-6 in college football, 4-2-1 in the NFL, about plus 220 football wise for me, minus 170 overall. NASCAR was awful. F1 I was terrible. Premier League 1-1-1, and NHL I gave out 2 sweet losers on Friday. Best bets now in the year, 6-4 for me, 4-4 for Coach, 3-4-1 for Chris. So we'll continue to march on. Hopefully, if you found something in there that was good for you, you picked and chose something that was a winner. But one thing that was a winner last night, the Diamondbacks, if you had them, wow, great performance. They come out to Philadelphia, win 2 games, games 6 and 7 on the road, which no one gave them a chance. Arizona now plus 170 against the Rangers, who are, I think I got that wrong. I think it's our plus 140 and the Rangers are minus 170. But anyway, series price pretty close. Rangers a small favorite. Exact matchup, if you had this back preseason, 1,750 to 1, which means $1 you're winning over $1,700, which is just nasty. But if you had that exact outcome, you could actually have the exact outcome for the series to win the series. Arizona over Texas, and on October 2nd paid 450 to 1, and also on October 2nd, Texas over Arizona paid 350 to 1. So if you would have put $5 on each of those outcomes, you're a guaranteed big time winner right there. So, but hey, that's my advice on that is if you have a gut feeling about teams, whatever, take a shot. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Throw a few dollars on one of these crazy outcomes. I mean, you just wouldn't even have thought that either one of these teams, both of these teams had lulls during the season where they were terrible, and then they had parts where they were really good. Arizona was kind of limping along, and then it looked like the Cubs were going to get in over them, and then the Cubs fell apart. So Arizona may not even be here if it wasn't for the Cubs' collapse. Arizona
they only won 84 games.
Yes. Arizona 180 to 1 on April 1st to win the World Series, if you can imagine that. So, and this was an interesting stat I saw this morning. Since 1981, whatever team has eliminated the Milwaukee Brewers has gone on to make the World Series. That's nuts. Anytime the Brewers have been in the playoffs, a team that beat them made the World Series since 81.
How do you – that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Hard to imagine.
Well, I guess then you hope you play the Brewers,
The Milwaukee's the key to everything. So.
Hey, and real quick, I have one more baseball note.
Please.
And I saw your favorite manager took a new job.
I don't.
Bob Melvin to the
on 2
Giants.
levels. I don't understand. Why is he still managing? I don't understand. He's not good. He's not good. He's terrible, and he was awful with the Padres. What's going to make it better with the Giants, who have a far less talented team? Anyway, I'm ashamed. I'm saddened by that. I'm saddened by it because the Giants are a team that, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. I really like the city of San Francisco as far as its geography. Now, its social behavior is absurd, and that's probably why I'll never end up going there. But I love its layout. I love its weather. I love everything about it. I love watching baseball games at that ballpark in the afternoon. Something about it. If the Giants are on at home on an afternoon game, chances are I have that on my television. Don't ask me why. It's just something I feel like something about it soothes me. And now I got to deal with this idiot managing them. So, always kind of had a soft spot for the Giants, but now this buffoon Bob Melvin.
I didn't get that. I heard that yesterday.
I don't understand.
Breaking news.
Why? Why do they want him? They were going to hire a girl, I thought, last week, which, hey, give her a chance. She can't be much worse than some of these other rehash garbage managers they have out there. But
I would agree with you on that.
We'll try anything once. Chris, let's talk a little about the series. In like I said, Texas minus 170, Arizona plus 145. Anything you like in this series? Anything stand out to you?
I just that kid. What the hell is his name? They just went off the past two games for Texas. That had to.
Garcia, the big guy the guy that fires his bat down when he's. He's a power hitter. He's good.
He's fun to watch. I think Texas is going to win this. So they're due. They've never won it, correct?
No, they haven't. Nope,
and so haven't. And they have home field too.
They do have home field,
okay.
yeah.
So,
I tell you, I think the thing goes at least 6 games, though, and I would not discredit Arizona. I think the only thing that worries me a little bit, I would probably bet Texas in Game 1. I probably will. Series starts Friday, if you're not aware. I'll probably lean Texas in Game 1. I think Arizona's probably got a big sigh of relief right now. They've been traveling a lot. I think maybe you can take advantage of them in the first game. Zach Gallen's not been great on the road, so I think he'll probably start, and I think maybe I'd lean Texas. So I thought maybe if Texas to win Game 1, Arizona to win the series, that offering's out there at plus 550. I'm probably going to bet that. A couple other things that interested me, too, is series total runs under 56.5. It's about 8 runs a game. I think this will be pretty low scoring. I thought both bullpens, especially Arizona's, was pretty good. Their guys seem to be real settled in and very confident. So I think that could be a factor. So I kind of like that under the 56.5 runs. I thought MVP is always something that I'm interested in during this. Last year, I was fortunate enough to have Jeremy Pena. And I bet him 3 or 4 different times because I thought his defense was so good. And at that time he was hitting, he did not hit nearly as well this year. But his hitting was he was really in sync. He was getting on base every game, and his defense was just so good. I thought, man, maybe he's got a chance. And sure enough, it came through. It's not going to always happen. Obviously, it's going to be tough. Garcia, as Chris mentioned, Corey Seager, they're going to be kind of the favorites. Corbin Carroll's going to get a lot of looks for Arizona. But I thought a few guys that were interesting. Josh Chung at 20-1 for Texas. Evan Carter at 21 for Texas. I thought both were worth it. They've both had very good postseasons. If you look up near the league leaders in hits and RBIs, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, all that stuff. And then for Arizona, I thought Alec Thomas was interesting. Moreno, the catcher, who is at 20-1. Thomas at 35-1. And Tommy Pham interests me a tad because Tommy Pham, for whatever reason, Tommy Pham has something that a lot of guys don't have. He has this clutch gene in him. It's weird. He hasn't got to really show it on a big stage, but he's got a lot of big hits. He's done a lot of things in big games as far as whether it was wild card games or lesser seen games. And he actually had a game in the NLCS that he had a home run. It was a huge home run, which it was in a game that the Diamondbacks really needed. They were if they go down 3-0, they're finished. So he had a big one there. So I thought he was interesting at 30-1 for MVP. But I can see it's going to be tough to dethrone one of those those big guns because Seager's incredible, Garcia's incredible. Carroll was amazing. Marte, who was the MVP of the NLCS, he was awesome. And, that guy's been good for several years. He's not just getting good. It's just he was the only player they had. Nobody knew about him. Now he's got other guys in the lineup. It's amazing how he's flourished. It's good to see. I thought he was worth a look maybe at most hits in the series. He's at 9-1 for that. So I thought that was kind of worth a peek too. So those are some of the things I'm focusing in on. I do think this thing goes at least 6 games. So I thought if you like Texas, I'd say Texas in 6 plus 390, Texas in 7 plus $4, Arizona in 6 plus 650. And Arizona in 7s plus $6, so you can get decent returns on those. Chris, you think it goes 5, 6 games,
it's
7?
going to be a good one. I'd say at least go 6.
Yeah.
And
TV ratings probably will suck, though.
Well, you know what?
Sadly.
We don't care.
No, I don't give a shit.
And that's always a constant theme when you're talking about championship games. The networks don't want this or that. We don't want this team, but right. I don't give a shit. I just want to be entertained. I don't care. It's baseball, and you touched on it earlier. I was very impressed with Arizona's bullpen, what they did.
Yeah.
Those 2 games in Philadelphia. And I was sitting there last night, and I'm like, my God, this is the loudest fucking crowd. Maybe not that, but it was
pretty close.
And those guys come out from the bullpen, and guy got to face so and and he's got 2 guys on, and you got 50,000 going nuts. They really, really, really stepped up, and that was definitely
it was awesome. And their starting pitching, their starting pitching, it started to turn when they went back home. When Fate threw his first good game his last Thursday, we were at Abby's. Threw a great game. Mm-hmm. I mean, he kept them right in it. They almost lost. They ended up winning the game 2-1, which gave them a little bit of life. And then I thought the Phillies were really tight coming back home. I thought those guys, we talked about it on the radio this week, they looked something was missing. Trey Turner was back to what he was like in April when he couldn't buy a hit. It was these guys were in their own heads. So I don't know if they thought it was just going to be easy or what. But,
because I think I'm not sure when, but he came up with guys on base and flew out, and then I think Harper did the same thing.
You could see it. You could see it on those, because we were talking yesterday on the Watchdog about when the visiting team has no pressure on them. They're expected to lose, and they come in there and they play close game 6 and then end up winning. All the pressure in the world was on Philadelphia. Every person there, they had all those fans, and those people turn on them so fast. Their game 6, they were pouring out of there before the game was even over. I was enjoying it actually, because it was nice to see those stupid idiots have to shut up.
Yes, and it's amazing. And if Coach were here, he could probably even speak to it better than we could. What it's like. So if you have one of these top guys from the Phillies or any team come up, and you're in a huge situation, if you got the lead and you're batting with 2 guys on, boy, what a difference when you're down by a run or 2 and you got to deliver.
And the same thing with the pitching too. It's just having that little bit of, like, they got that insurance run last night. Like that. Exactly. That stuff just is like a huge sigh of relief. But kudos to the Arizona guys for coming in and doing that. Merrill Kelly pitched really good in Game 6, and then Fate again stepping it up big time. That guy's going to be tough, I think, down the road. He's already got incredibly good stuff. I think Diamondbacks have a chance. I think it should be a good series, and we'll look forward to watching it starting on Friday night. All right, shifting over to college football. And I got to say, when I looked at the card this week, is that your phone or mine?
Yes.
Okay. Looking at the card this week, I was not real impressed, and I could not find a whole lot of games that I really liked at all. So, Chris, if you don't have feels on these games, please feel free to hit the skip button, and we will gladly move along, because I did not have a whole lot of opinions. Normally I'll look down the card and I'll have like 5 to 6 games where I'm like, I have a really strong opinion on that game. And then there'll be like 5 more that I'm like, I like this side, but I can see the other side a little bit, but I'm going to lean this side. But, man, I've struggled to find games that I like this week. So we'll start going through it. Coach just sent me his picks, I guess.
You didn't did you find any compelling Big Ten games?
Actually, yeah. There's one game at 3:30 that I thought was not compelling because it's going to be good to watch, but compelling because it's 2 horrible teams. So
Michigan State.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get it started here. Noon kick, ACC Network, Connecticut at Boston College. Boston College minus 14.5. Total 51.5. Chris, anything on there? That opened 12. Now up to 14.5.
UConn's lost 4 or 5. BC's won 3 in a row. Although UConn's played tough.
I like
against
UConn
Utah State and I think South Florida. They hung in there. So yeah, I'm taking Jim Moore Jr. I'm going to take those points. That
was one that I had a little bit of a lean on. So I'll be going with the Huskies as well. Keeping it going at noon, Florida State on the road at Wake Forest. The Seminoles minus 20, the total 53. Wake Forest comes in off of a incredibly lucky win against Pitt, which I was happy about because I had them. I gave them out last week as one of my winners. Demon Deacons have won 3 in a row in the series. Florida State pulled away from Duke late. I think Florida State's good, but I really don't think they're that good. I think they're very beatable, and I'm hoping Miami's a team that can beat them, but I don't know. Is this a spot where Wake Forest can battle them at all?
Well, I'm taking the Deacons. I mean,
Okay.
it's Florida State's first road game since a win at Clemson is on September 23rd, and
They were fortunate to win that game, to be honest with you.
so I'm going with the Wake.
Okay. I'd lean Wake, too. If I can get to 21, if it gets up to 21, I'll be very happy. All right, keeping it going. Noon kick. FS1, first ever meeting. Mountaineers at the UCF Knights. It'll be the Knights minus 7, total 59.5. These two teams, I don't know what to make of them. Central Florida battled hard last week. They bounced back because they had been in a rut. They played Oklahoma very tough, had a chance to win the game. West Virginia, I mean, Champ could have run through the holes that Oklahoma State was opening up. Chris, you were there. That was a terrible defensive performance in a game where their offense did enough to win, but the defense did nothing. How do the Mountaineers bounce back? Do they have any chance here?
I don't think they do.
I would say so.
I don't think they do. They give up a ton of points, a ton of yards, and on the road. I'm taking UCF Knights.
Yeah.
Whether it's given 7.
Yeah, I would lean that way as well. All right, one game I do have an opinion on: Oklahoma Sooners at the Kansas Jayhawks. Oklahoma minus 10, total 65.5. I've been on Oklahoma quite a bit this year. I think that they're a pretty good team. They've been fortunate in a couple games, but I still think they're on the way back up. I'm not saying they're elite by any means, but I like the fact that Venables at least tries to play defense, which is something that Lincoln Riley would never have done. So it tells me that they're trending in the right direction. However, in this game, I think Kansas is dangerous here. I think they have a chance to win this game. Oklahoma has been very fortunate. They could have lost to Texas. They could have lost last week at home to UCF. Were they looking ahead to Kansas? I don't know who looks ahead to Kansas, although more so now than ever. But I like Coach and Nick's Jayhawks here catching the 10. Chris, what do you say?
I'm going opposite.
Okay.
Oklahoma's seeking their 19th straight win against Kansas in this series. 9.5. They're rolling right now, so I'm going to take the Sooners.
Yeah, I mean, I expect them to win the game. I think that it's going to be a little tighter though, but we'll see. I have the Oklahoma Sooners to win the Big 12, so hopefully they do win the game. Next game, Big 10, Indiana Hoosiers at the Penn State Nittany Lions. It'll be the Nittany Lions minus 32, 45.5 the total. Penn State's back to being able to just beat the shit out of somebody. So I would expect them to absolutely murder Indiana here. I think Franklin will try to cover the spread. The only spread that he hasn't covered this year, ironically, it was last week when they pissed themselves in the horseshoe against Ohio State like they always do. So
same way.
They had a really bad call go against them, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes about some bad beats of the weekend. But just a dreadful call against them that did probably change the game, but they were not anywhere near as good as Ohio State. Ohio State wasn't even very good, but Ohio State was a better team. There's no question about it. That call, I think, impacted the game a lot, but Penn State sucked. They deserved to lose, but I think they'll roll it up on Indiana here because they're a fucking bully, so they'll probably cover.
Yeah, and Indiana is one of the worst teams in all college football, so I'm taking the Lions giving those points.
Okay. Penn State's won 20 out of the last 22 in this series. So, oh, boy. Maryland on the road at Northwestern. It'll be 13.5. The Terps are laying on the road, 48.5 the total. Don't really have an opinion here. Maryland's tricked me a few times. Every time I think they're going to blow somebody out, they struggle. They seem to not want to get up for some of these lesser opponents.
Yeah, and Matt, I'm surprised when we were talking at the beginning of the year. I'm surprised that Northwestern even has 3 wins.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think I.
Well,
with
losing the coach right
yes,
before.
Yes, just all that controversy. So, but I still take Maryland. They're coming off a bye, so I'm gonna take them.
Yeah,
given
the
points,
they're the much better team, but we shall see. All right, Houston, Dana Holgorsen on the road at the Kansas State Wildcats. Wildcats minus 17.5, the total 60. Houston got shafted badly last week. A bad spot in the game cost them a chance to win. To me, I was on Texas. They were actually my best bet. I thought they were going to murder. They were up 21-0,
right,
cruising along, and then they just stopped playing. And I'll give Holgerson credit. He got his team pissed off, and they got re-rallied. And when it was 21-7 and they were driving again, and I ended up throwing a few dollars on them to win the game because when I was watching it, I was like, geez, Houston is outplaying them. I don't know if Texas can get this back. Then their quarterback gets hurt, and I was like, shit, I like my chances here. But just couldn't make enough plays late. I don't think Texas is anywhere near as good as a lot of people do. Very vulnerable. Houston battled hard. I don't know what they got here for K-State. K-State looked good last week, Chris.
Yeah, and K-State, I think they have one of the top rushing offenses in the country, and they've scored second most points in the Big 12, whereas Houston has given up the most points in the Big 12. So I'm going to take K-State to put a whipping on Dana.
Yeah, I think Dana's team could come back to life. They fought hard last week. They won on the Hail Mary the week before, so maybe the emotional roller coaster has them worn out. Going to the SEC now, still the noon kicks, the noon hour. South Carolina Gamecocks at the Texas A&M Aggies. 14.5. The Aggies are favored at home. The total 54. Man, South Carolina's disappointed me all year. I can't play them anymore. Can't play them anymore. I'd lean to the under in this game. That's where I would probably lean to. That's where I'm probably going to bet because South Carolina was terrible on offense again last week. Texas A&M's always terrible on offense. 54 seems a little high to me, Chris. What do you say?
And both teams that have been major disappointments, but I'm glad because I hate Jimbo Fisher, so they're 4-3. South Carolina's lost 4 out of 5.
Yes,
they're giving up 39 points in their last 3 games, but again, Texas A&M doesn't score.
Nope.
I don't think that A&M's they're not going to cover this game. I think Carolina will keep it close.
Okay, no, I hope so. All right. ACC time, 2 o'clock kick. It's the Clemson Tigers at the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Tigers, -10 on the road, total 44. I think NC State sucks. I think Clemson's terrible. Dabo Sweeney's like, I don't know, something about it. The way he coaches is like, it's like old and it's stale and it's not working. So, I don't really have a thought, maybe under.
I took Clemson only because Dabo's tied for the all-time wins lead with Frank Howard, whoever the hell that guy is or was.
Don't remember him.
I'm sure he's dead.
He probably hopes he is dead.
But I don't know enough about North Carolina State. I mean, both teams are 4-3, but I'm going to take Clemson Tigers.
Yeah, I lean that way too. All right, back to the Big Ten. This is a big game here. Michigan State at Minnesota. Minnesota -7, the total 40. Michigan State's won 5 out of the last 6 in the series. And believe it or not, this was one of the plays that I had a strong feeling on. I like Michigan State here. I know that's ridiculous to say. It doesn't make any sense. This spread to me should have been higher, so it wasn't. So it tells me that some guys are making numbers. They're like, maybe this is a little bit closer than people realize. I think people will bet Minnesota. Minnesota should not have won last week. They got very lucky against Iowa. They had a bogus call at the end that went their way on a fair catch, which was just absurd. And if anybody who watched it or coached football or did anything ever has seen that, they would know that wasn't a fair catch call and by the Iowa kid. Just absolutely criminal.
It was.
And they should have blown the play dead if it was fucking dead. That's what I didn't understand. They let the guy pick the ball up, run around, and it wasn't like he just took it and ran 30 yards. He went left, he went right, he went center, he went all the way around the field.
He went like 100 yards
yes,
and goes 60.
All sideways and weaving. Like if the play was dead when they said illegal touching, why didn't they blow it dead?
Yeah.
Why? Why did 7 bozos have to get together after and figure it out? After
did
replay?
Anybody throw a flag? Because I think I heard it on Sunday after I might have been coming.
I never saw anything.
Pickleball tournament, and they were referencing this blown call in the Iowa game. So I don't think I got to see it till Monday, and I just couldn't believe what I was.
And the
seeing.
guy made a great play, like it was and then the place was going nuts, and Iowa was so bad on offense. Like, they had 2 yards of offense in the second half. 2 yards! And they still should have won the game.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Minnesota's no better. I mean, that was a 12-10 final. Like, so
So what was the ruling then? What
They
did
said
say?
that he called a fair catch, which in the rule book it says signaling above your shoulder.
He never had.
He was waving his teammates away if the ball was bouncing because the punt was terrible. And then no one from the defense, which could have stopped the play by picking the ball up, they didn't. They let it bounce around. Nobody blew a whistle. Nobody threw a flag. He picked it up. Still nobody blew a whistle. He runs and he returns it.
I'd love to hear what those 7 fucking idiots gathered together and what did they say?
I think the Big Ten tried to come out and say, like, well, you're not allowed to do – apparently you're not allowed to do this. I don't know what that even means, like rolling your – I don't know. They just make this stuff up to cover these guys' asses.
Yep, they do.
The bottom line is they missed the call. They missed the call. It should have just stood as it was. Nobody did anything wrong. Minnesota sure didn't think there was anything illegal about it. They didn't even argue about it. They were no one from Minnesota even knew there was anything wrong.
And you're 1,000% right when you did what you said just a minute ago. If one of those fucking dickhead officials knows that this play is illegal, you come running in like this,
like you're tough guy,
arms,
puffing your chest out. Look at me, I'm the big badass.
No.
They didn't do it, so that tells me they knew it wasn't.
But here's the thing, though: if nobody threw a flag and then the play happens,
yeah.
So is somebody get in a guy's ear and say, "Hey, you better."
There's got to be something wrong.
Like if none of those guys, and they probably, I don't know how this all works.
To me, that makes me think that the fucking crew bet Minnesota in the game.
Exactly.
Like it really does.
Exactly.
And I don't like to think like that all the time. But to me, there was no reason for this to have happened. No. So the only potential reason is foul play, and I think that should have been looked at. That should have been looked at. Because it is like all of a sudden, oh boy, we better make something up here. We're in trouble. Oh boy, what can we come up with? And then someone whispers something, and let's go with that. It's really desperate, and it just I don't know.
It just seems like all right. Let's put our heads together real quick. Let's come up with the best thing we can come up with. What do you think they'll buy? What can we come up with to fool these people?
And they know they're protected.
Exactly.
They have complete and total autonomy. They can do whatever they want.
Yep.
They can ruin guys' lives. They can cost people their jobs. Yep. It doesn't matter to them.
Care.
And they'll
Their
just
jobs
go
are safe.
Laughing, smiling, having beers afterwards. It's cocky sons of bitches. Ugh.
Totally agree.
Sickening. All right. Let's keep it moving. Anyway, back to that game. I did like Michigan State plus the 7, just because.
I just went with under, man.
Yeah, that's probably a really good bet in that game, Chris.
That's terrible.
Probably a really, really good bet. The Virginia Cavaliers, the big upset specials of last week as they take out North Carolina on the road, visiting now the Miami Hurricanes. Canes minus 19 at home, total 47.5. Miami with a nice win over Clemson, who's not very good. Virginia with a big win on the road against North Carolina, who I don't think is very good either. I don't think the ACC is very good, period, but I don't really have an opinion in this game. Maybe lean towards Miami. They're not going to get caught overlooking Virginia now that North Carolina lost to them.
Well, you wouldn't think. I mean, both teams, they're coming off feel-good wins, and especially, both teams because they've been in a funk. But, Miami's definitely the more talented team. So I'm going to although I have Virginia circled getting 18. That might be a little bit too much. So
it's very possible.
It's a wild-ass guess, Matt.
Yep, I would agree. Duke at Louisville, our next game, 3:30 kick. Louisville minus 4, total 46. I like the Cardinals here. Duke's a little beat up. They've had a tough stretch here. Louisville's well rested. They're coming off the bye week, so I will go with the Cardinals at home in a game with the teams are pretty even. Both these teams are okay. I lean Louisville at home.
And with that bye week, like you said, rest. Maybe heal up a little bit. So that's actually gonna be my play of the week too.
Oh, okay.
Taking Louisville Cardinals.
Chris's best bet, Louisville. All right, and then on the first page, our final game, Purdue Boilermakers at the Nebraska Cornhuskers. It'll be the Huskers minus 3, total 40. Game opened at 42, down to 40. Boy, this game's another snooze fest. I'd actually lean Purdue in the game, but I don't have a strong feel. What did you say?
I don't either. Purdue's lost 4 or 5, and Nebraska's won 4 or 5. Both teams struggle offensively. I'm just taking the under because I mean it's a 2.5 as far as point spread. I'm going under, Matt.
All right. Actually, a game that might be interesting.
Yes.
3:30 kick on Fox. Oregon Ducks at the Utah Utes. It'll be the Ducks minus 6.5. Total 49. Game open 4.5. up to 6.5 now. A lot of people on Oregon. I don't know. I don't know what to make of Utah. I didn't like them last week, but they played pretty good against the lowly USC. Man, something tells me Oregon might win this game, but I don't know. I don't really trust them either on the road. I don't know, Chris.
I'm taking the home team getting 6.5.
Okay.
Both teams 3-1 in the conference, so it should be a competitive game. But I think Utah at home.
Okay.
Will cover.
The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It'll be the Georgia Bulldogs at the Florida Gators. Yeah.
The biggest cocktail party.
Bulldogs -14, total 47. I don't like Florida, but Georgia without Brock Bowers is a little bit of a concern to me. And I think I would lean Georgia in this game. I still think they'll make enough plays, maybe score on defense to cover it, but I don't want to lay any more than 14. I definitely don't want to lay 14.5. So I'll cautiously be taking the Bulldogs here, Chris. What do you say?
Well, I'm going to cautiously take the Gators.
Okay.
They're coming off.
You like them in the neutral field, all right?
Yeah, and riding a 2-game win streak since they had lost to Kentucky. So
okay.
I don't think they're going to win, but I think they'll keep it close.
All righty. That tends to be the case in that rivalry game. All right, Pitt on the road at Notre Dame. It'll be the Irish -20.5. The total 44. I don't know. This game opened 17.5. It's up to 20.5 now. Notre Dame taking money. Pitt off of a really bad misfortune. They had a big win 2 weeks ago. Then their quarterback screws up kind of, but another bad call by the officials. But they called it his slide short of the first down after he got it, and that's a pretty tough way to turn the ball over and then lose the game when you actually have the first down and you slide, but you didn't slide correctly, and in their estimation, just ridiculous. But Pitt's played them very tough in the past. I don't know. I don't really have a play here, Chris. What are you seeing?
What did I do here, Matt? Pitt. I'm taking Pitt. Getting is it up to 20? Did you say?
Yeah, 20.5.
I mean, at Notre Dame, however, Notre Dame's won. They're 22-10 at home versus Pitt, but 10 of the last 13 have been decided by single digits. I'm going to take Pitt.
I lean Pitt too. If that thing gets up to 21 or 21.5, I'll be on the Panthers heavy. Narduzzi. Iowa State at the Baylor Bears. It'll be the Cyclones -2.5. The total 47. Cousin Jake scored for the Bears last week.
4 catches.
They won the game at Cincinnati, which is not an easy place to play, although Cincinnati's not very good. I don't think Iowa State's very good either, and I think this is a winnable game for Baylor. I'm hoping that finally they start to keep some momentum. Baylor's been so up and down, and where they were down for a while, then they came up briefly, then back down again, and last week was a nice win for them. I'm leaning Baylor here, but my heart will be on Baylor. So what are you thinking?
It's homecoming week.
Yeah.
So you know how much I like that. Fast fact, Baylor boasts the longest-running collegiate homecoming celebration, which goes back to 1909.
Ooh.
They've won 4 straight homecoming games, 11 of 12. Say no more.
All right, that's a lock then.
Say no more.
That's our lock of the week. Baylor Bears. Let's roll it up on homecoming. Staying in the Big 12, the BYU Cougars visiting the Texas Longhorns. Longhorns -17.5, total 50.5. Quinn Ewers is out for the Longhorns. They're going to be splitting time between multiple quarterbacks. I don't know. I think Texas is in a tough spot here. They were fortunate to have won last week. They still have playoff hopes, so I think they'll be motivated enough. But this could be tricky. BYU seems to be improving a touch, so I would lean towards taking the points, but I don't know.
Well, and BYU, I think they were coming off a win against Texas Tech.
Nice win.
And I saw, the Longhorns struggled with Houston, and I was unaware of the Ewers guy being hurt.
Yes.
Now, originally, I took Texas, but I'm going to switch that, Matt. I'm going to take BYU. Getting, what is that line now?
17.5.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So
I'm going to go with the Cougars.
Cougars plus the 17. All right, keeping it, we're moving back to the SEC. Mississippi State Bulldogs on the road at the Auburn Tigers. Tigers -6.5. Total 43.5. Mississippi State surprised me. I don't know how they keep winning these games. They won 7-3 this week. I
thought that was a misprint when I
looked at that. Guess what? I had Arkansas on over in the game, and it's 7-3. So typical. But no, Mississippi State surprised me. They're not very good at all. Auburn's not very good either. I think War Eagle probably will win this game. I don't know if they cover the 6. I lean Auburn, but don't love it. What do you say?
I just like the under.
Yeah, probably a good
I don't
play.
know enough about either team. I mean,
and you don't want to.
Yeah, Mississippi State 4-3 3, Auburn 3-4 at home, but I just don't see a lot of points.
Auburn's significantly better at home, but
yes.
No, I don't know how good they are. USC on the road at the Cal Golden Bears. It'll be the Trojans -11, total 67.5. To me, this is another game I had a pretty strong feel on, one of the few. I like the Golden Bears here. I think they may even have a chance to win. I think USC's packed it in. Lincoln Riley, well, there's conflicting reports. One says that he's really sick. Another one says he's just faking sick because he's lost the locker room. The players.
What's wrong with him?
They don't. No one will say.
Okay.
So he wasn't at practice. Apparently, Cliff Kingsbury's been running the practices for him. So I don't know. I think they got a lot of problems. I think Caleb Williams got 1 foot out the door. He might have 2 feet out the door by the end of this weekend. Sounds like things are a big problem for USC. Their players were not allowed to go to media last week after the game. So that's never a good sign. I like the Golden Bears here. I think they could be pesky. And I'll take them plus the 11, Chris. What do you say?
Matt, I couldn't agree with you more. Everything that you just said, because I was thinking about that too with this Caleb Williams. Now I didn't know that Lincoln Riley is supposed to have.
Yeah,
some
he may
ailments,
not coach this week.
But I think it's great. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet for this fucking dickhead. Gets to use the Lear jet or the school jet whenever.
I remember
he
Colin
wants.
Coward just talking about how great he was going to be, how he's revolutionizing the program
Okay,
again. It's come on, Colin.
So and just like that guy, I think he went to Texas for a while, Herman.
Yeah, Tom Herman.
He was going to turn them into a perennial power. But anyway, I agree with Caleb Williams. I mean, he's already making like $7 million in NIL. I mean, and like I said, they're
out of the playoffs.
They have no chance at winning anything. I mean, other
and they
than
still
a bowl
got tough
game.
games left.
Yes, they do. They could probably win or lose 2 or 3 more games.
Yeah.
So I'm the same way. I think he's checked out. He's got money. And why risk injury?
Exactly.
So, no, I'm taking Cal Bears.
Yep.
Cal Bears.
Go Bears. I think they might win.
Yes,
we'll see.
I hope they do.
All right, back to the SEC. Tennessee on the road at Kentucky. It'll be the Volunteers -3.5. The total 51.5. Tennessee, both these teams are interesting to me. Kentucky, I was on a little bit early in the year, but then I realized how soft they were, and Stoops started crying about not having enough money and all that why making $8 million a year. Tennessee, they're a little better than I expected last week. They ended up making some mistakes, and Alabama ended up covering, which was good for me because I had Bama. But I lean Tennessee slightly here, but I think this is a very tight game, so don't have a strong play.
I think it'll be a relatively close game, but I've taken the Volunteers on the road.
Yep, I agree. All right, Washington at Stanford. It'll be the Huskies -26, total 59.5. Definitely not a good performance for Washington last week. They were fortunate to win. First time this year, to me, they looked not very good, but they could bounce back here. But Stanford's been tricky. They've played teams tough at home, so I don't really have a play. It'd probably be a pass for me, Chris. What do you say?
Matt, I'm taking Washington, and I'll tell you why. Stanford's given up 42 or more in each of the last 3 games, while scoring 7 or fewer in 2 of those 3 games. So I don't know. I just think Washington will light them up.
Okay, I like it. Colorado, Coach Prime back in the mix after a bye week. He's at UCLA. UCLA -17, total 64. I have no play here. Probably under if I was going to do anything.
I'm taking Colorado in this game, and not just to cover. I mean, I don't think they're good enough, but it seems like Prime can keep them in the game. But UCLA's got a very formidable defense. So they're one of the top defenses in the country, and I think the best in the Pac-12. So we'll see how they stack up against Shedeur Sanders. But I'm going to take Colorado getting the points.
Yep, I can see that. I'm going to play it under and think that,
as long as they lose, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I don't think Colorado will score quite as many as they usually do against them. Ohio State on the road at Madison to visit the Badgers. It'll be the Buckeyes -14.5, total 43. I've heard a lot of people making a case for Wisconsin. Man, I had them last week. Wisconsin had zero business winning that game, and they somehow covered in the very wee stages of the game. Like, it was almost – I turned it off like 4 times. Like, and I kept looking and like, oh, my God, they got a chance. So they ended up covering. They won the game by 4. Awful performance. They're not good. Illinois is not good, though, either, so that helped. But I don't know. Does Ohio State have a letdown? I mean, they did whatever they wanted against Penn State to a degree. I mean, they didn't look very sharp either, but they were never in doubt after that. The fumble return gets taken off the board. They were never in a spot where they were trailing or even close to potentially losing the game. I don't know. I want to try to take the Badgers, but I've seen this song and dance too many times. I don't think they're good enough to be able to hang here with Ohio State.
And I know, and then you got teams like Wisconsin. And one week you'll think, man, they really got it. They're gonna they're gonna make some noise. Then you see another putrid, and in a different week they're just awful. So you don't really know.
I'm not really.
It could be a letdown, but and I'm not sure either. But I guess I'm going to go with the under.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good bet. I'm not. I know a lot of people think Luke Fickell's a great coach. I just think he's okay. He, like I've said on here before, he is easy to motivate kids that got passed over by big schools at Cincinnati. I don't see. He's not done very well in these big games against these big schools, and I'd say this is a trouble spot. Yeah, I probably would go with the under as well. I think it's the safest play. I just can't bet Wisconsin in good conscience. I just see them so many times just fall flat on their face. I hope they win this game, but I don't know if they're even capable of it. Madison at night, though, it will be rowdy in there. Yeah. Those drunken buffoons will be drinking. You think the Mountaineers can tailgate? That's one of the few places that can rival them. They'll be out there while it's dark in the morning drinking, getting ready for this. These Wisconsin people, they're lunatics. All right, back to the SEC. Vanderbilt at Ole Miss. Ole Miss minus 25.5, total 63.5. Anything there, Chris? I got nothing.
Opponents average 34 against Vanderbilt, and as no SEC school has scored less than 38 in their four conference games. So I think good old
Ole Miss.
What's his
Kiffin.
name? Kiffin's just going to light them up. So
yeah. Okay.
Take Ole Miss.
All right, North Carolina on the road at Georgia Tech. North Carolina coming off a bad loss to UVA. They're laying 11 on the road. The total 63.5. Georgia Tech's won this series, the last two meetings in this series. So I don't know what that means. I would have leaned Georgia Tech here if had North Carolina have won last week, but can't do it here. I don't trust Carolina. I don't trust Georgia Tech, but likely Carolina wins the game. Chris, what do you say?
Same way. I mean, Tech had their doors blown off last week against BC and gave up a fuck ton of yards. Mm-hmm. So I think North Carolina, just to kind of not save their season, but because they're 6-1. So I think they'll atone for the loss. That bad loss versus Virginia, and they will handle Tech.
All right, I like it. Washington State on the road at Arizona State. Washington State minus 6.5, total 51.5. Cougars have kind of hit a skid. They've been in a little rut. Arizona State's proven to be a pesky team, especially at home. So I'd lean Sun Devils, but don't love it.
Yeah, I mean, they've been underdog in 6 games and failed to win any of them, but they are at home, and they do. They compete even though they're 1-6. So I have the Sun Devils.
All right.
Getting the points.
Cincinnati on the road at Oklahoma State. It'll be the Cowboys minus 8, total 53.5. Oklahoma State looked very good last week, but maybe it was just the deficiencies of West Virginia. If they happen to be clicking and improving, which I think Mike Gundy's a really good coach. Seems like his teams always get better as the year goes on. I think 8's not nearly enough. Like, I think they should be laying like double digits.
Yeah,
in
I
this
was surprised
game.
that it wasn't.
Which worries me a tad. But I would lean Oklahoma State here, Chris.
That's what I got. And the last time these two teams met was in 1983.
Wow.
And Oklahoma State's coach was Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy, all right. Cool.
So, and I think I had Ollie Gordon and Alan Bowman. I mean, they got a good 1-2 punch in the backfield. So I think
they've definitely improved since the beginning of the season.
So I'd take the Cowboys. Plus, last week I got to meet Pistol Pete.
Yeah,
their world famous mascot. So go Cowboys.
All right, Cowpokes says boys. Fresno State UNLV. I only say this game because I like Fresno State minus 9.5. The total's 58.5. So I'll be on the Bulldogs. Chris, I don't know if you have anything.
Nothing.
For that one. All right, Oregon State. The Beavers on the road at the Arizona Wildcats. It'll be the Beavers minus 3.5, total 57 in our final Power 5 game of the week. I like Oregon State, but man, Arizona has impressed me. They've been getting better and they're dangerous. So I can't lay these points on the road. So maybe under for me in this game is what I'm
facing. Arizona's 4 straight ranked opponent, and they're looking for their first win versus a ranked opponent at home, and they've lost 4 in a row. But after watching them a couple games and how they hung tough, I think it was against the USC game. So them at home. I mean, they're 4-3. I think that's kind of better than what we expected. They play hard and they do have some talent. So I am taking them getting points.
All right, I like it. All right, that concludes the college card here. already up to week number 9. Gosh.
Yes.
That's good news. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Bettor's Last Stand and be back. Talk a little NHL, NBA, and NFL. And remember to stay tuned. We got Sam back on the program talking F1 and NASCAR. It's Bettor's Last Stand. Matt and Chris here with you. We'll be right back.
Bettor's Last Stand is for entertainment purposes only, but who better to listen to than the guys here at the Pine Room? For more picks you might have missed, follow Bettor's Last Stand and all of Matt's picks on X, formerly Twitter, at BLS_PRP. Because just like General Custer, we're in Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand here from the Pine Room Studio. Matt and Chris here with you. Show number 59. Going to hit on a couple things here before we get into the NFL card this week. 8-5, the unders were again in the NFL in Week 7, which is interesting as the under trend continues. A couple other tidbits. Penn State, Ohio State, most bet game of the weekend, obviously. Penn State was the public play, and it didn't get there, to say the least. Top 5 money wagered in NBA title betting so far this year as the NBA started last night. The Denver Nuggets, the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, the Lakers, and the Celtics. What a shock that is. Those 5. Although maybe the Heat's a small surprise, but
Well, you were happy your Lakers lost last night.
yeah,
So that
that's
was a
great.
good start.
That's a good thing. Didn't watch a play of it.
Well, you know what? And
Probably
I
won't.
was happy because both games were on TNT, and I don't get TNT.
Yeah, well, saves you from having to worry about even being enticed to change it over.
Exactly.
Odds to win the college football title. Michigan now plus 220. They are the favorites. Georgia plus 260. Florida State 7-1. Ohio State 7-1. Washington 12-1. Oklahoma 14-1. Texas 18-1. And Bama 14-1. So those are kind of the teams in the mix for the final 4 spots. Still a lot of football to be played right now. I'd probably lean that Michigan's the best, but I don't really know because they haven't really played anybody. But it's really not their fault when it's the conference schedule some of the time. But I like to see Harbaugh's schedule a little bit better out of conference,
Yes.
but who knows? College football ATS, Arizona 6-1. We were talking about them earlier. So the Wildcats 6-1 against the spread. Oklahoma 6-1. Penn State 6-1. Ironically, the one was last week. UNLV 6-1. 6 1-1 teams at Rutgers, Jubs Rutgers Scarlet Knights, and then 5 1-1 ATS for the Oregon Ducks. Sharp bettors on Oregon this week again. NFL, recapping some of the bad teams against the spread. The Carolina Panthers 0-5-1 ATS. Denver and New Orleans both 1-5-1 against the spread. And the Falcons, Giants, and Patriots all 2-5 against the spread. The top 5, I found this interesting. The top bet teams of Week 7 went 0-8. So 75% or more of the tickets bet on this game. That is 75%. That's 3 out of every 4 people bet these teams. So you have 8 of them here. The Bills, the 49ers, the Raiders, the Bucks, the Browns, the Lions, I almost said the Tigers. Yeah. Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Lions, Packers, and Rams. So all those teams where the public plays this week, 75% or more of the ticket count was on them. 0-8. 0-8 against the spread. And only the Browns won of those teams. They won by 1 point. They didn't cover. Every other one of those teams lost outright. So
yeah. Who beat Buffalo? Oh, New England.
New England. So, yeah, how about that? NFL is tough. But when you always bet the favorites, you're bound to lose. Okay, service plays recap. This is amazing. Mark Lawrence, I was hyping him up last week, saying how good he was doing. He was doing pretty well out of all these guys. Poor guy had a rough one. Playbook 0-7 last week. It's just shocking to me God, I'd feel so bad if I sold people picks that were 0-7. Anyway, his 5 stars are 4-4 on the year. His 4 stars in college 6-2. 5 stars in the NFL 2-5. 4 stars 3-4.
Well, Matt, and this is what I don't get, and touched on it before in a different show. So if you're looking to maybe dabble into some gambling, you don't know, so you want to get one of these services or check it out. How the hell does somebody look at it and say, well, wait a minute, I don't want to deal with this guy. He went 0-7.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand if he went like 2-5, but 0-7.
0-7's hard to do.
That'd be hard to even try.
I'd have to refund people's money if they did that.
Yeah,
I just couldn't do it. I couldn't have the conscience to do it. Point-wise, 2-6 on the week. Their college football 1-stars 10-6, which is their top plays. 4-3 in the NFL, 3 stars overall in the season. Power sweep, 4 stars, 2-5-1. For 4 and 5 stars, for 4-10 on the season.
In the NFL, it's awful.
Brad Powers 1-6 last week, 23-38 on the season.
That's 15 games under 500. Wow, that's bad.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to pick on these guys. They have their businesses, and they're doing a hell of a lot better than either of us. So, but I just, you got to be transparent, and I know that they, a lot of times they try to bury the lead. Red Sheet 1-5 last week, 12-23 on the season, 2-5 in the NFL.
Oh my God!
Phil Steele, coach's boy, NFL last week. He was 0-2. College football, he's 31-44-3 on the season and 5-9 overall in the NFL. I mean,
I didn't know we were doing it.
Stop me when we find somebody that you would pay for.
You didn't tell me about this comedy segment.
Yeah, I mean, and again, all of a sudden, our minus 11 units across 4 guys doesn't seem so terrible. Anyway, Gridiron Gold, 8-10 in college, 8-4 in the NFL season. There, that's so.
You must save the best 2 for last.
Yeah, Victor King still holding on to being over 500, 12-9 on the season. So,
wow.
Yeah, they've seen better days. I don't know. A couple of things, bad beat-wise, I just wanted to mention. I talked about the Iowa game briefly, the Pitt game briefly, the Penn State game. So if you saw all these, me and Chris went on, I don't need to bore anybody anymore, but the refereeing needs to be held accountable, and it's wrong. Everybody thinks, oh, yeah, you don't like referees. Well, I don't, but some I do say are good, very few, and I respect them. When the people are doing the amateur sports and things, I get it, but please try better. Like, please. It's if you're not doing something that's I would say that taboo or that is suspicious or whatever. If you're genuinely trying to do the best you can, please try to get better, because I'm not buying it. There's foul play in hand here.
Without a doubt.
Mad Dog Russo said he'd retire.
Yeah, what's this all about?
He was running his mouth, which he does for a living. He's good at it. He ran his mouth if the Arizona would win the 2 games in Philadelphia and win that series. He would retire. Well, guess what? There was a caveat that he didn't really mention. He's retiring from the radio side, which ironically his contract's up next month. So, so this was all just kind of a big ploy, just in case. Gives him a good way to get into the news, and then has a good fallback story if it doesn't.
So they kind of like the liberal elitist Hollywood people that were going to leave the country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to label him like that totally, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, you're saying one thing, but you're not really doing it. So he's going to step away from radio so he can spend more time with his kid, I guess, which is cool. But yeah, he made the Diamondbacks into the story. So anyway. But he got himself in the news. So.
But would that have made? But if
I don't know if he would have done it anyway. It sounded like his contract was up. He wasn't going to come back to radio.
But
anyway.
if the Philly, well,
yeah. So if Phillies win, it doesn't matter. We don't ever know we're not none the wiser. So, yeah. And then in the NFL, same thing. Officiating was rough. Colts. We talked about it. The Browns. We're both Browns fans. Terrible. When I had the Browns, I bet the Browns and had them on the Abby sheet. I mean, it worked for me, but it was criminal what happened to the Colts.
It was
absolutely criminal. It was wrong, and the wrong team won, but we'll take it. One time it's nice to be on that side.
Yeah,
Usually it doesn't happen very often. And then the Rams, just the spotting the ball incorrectly. Imagine that, the Steelers get a call. God. Talk about conspiracy theories. I like to do one on the NFL and the Pittsburgh Steelers, how they favor them, and they always have.
Until you talk to a Steeler fan, they don't buy any of it.
Oh, God, I know. They're so – I mean, but it'd be nice to have one guy that just said the truth, like, we have got a lot of breaks. Like, it's okay to say that. It doesn't make you not a fan. It doesn't make anything wrong. So, anyway, moving on. Let's touch briefly on NHL and NBA. Penguins were not – I don't want to say awful, but they're pretty close to awful. They were decent in the first period, but they just don't do enough. They just don't do enough to play the way they play and be able to make enough plays. They're just not good enough, and power play still sucks.
2 for 16 so far this year.
So, an awful start. 2 goals against the Capitals, who are a mess. And that was the Caps' first game of the year, so I don't even barely count those 2 goals. Yeah, so Penguins, right now, they're fade material till you hear otherwise from us. We usually have a pretty decent pulse on the team, and it's not good right now. So I would be my advice about playing power play points, which I think is a great value. I would not recommend it with them whatsoever. But I was going through the data so far. Here's what we got in the NHL in the first periods. 6-1 to the over in the first periods. You got the Sabres. 5-1 first period overs. You got Edmonton, Vancouver, and Philadelphia. 5-2 first period over, Carolina and Vegas. 5-1 to the under in the first period. You got Arizona and Anaheim. 4-1 to the under in the first period. Dallas and St. Louis. Goal in the first 10 minutes. Yes, 6-0 Minnesota Wild. Keep an eye on them. The Sabres 6-1 goal. Yes, in the first 10 minutes of the game. The Oilers 5-1. The Ottawa Senators 5-1. The Philadelphia Flyers 5-1. Boy, the Oilers are a mess, and they lost McDavid, which I'm not surprised about.
What happened to him?
He's out 2 weeks, they said. But they don't tell you. Said upper body injury or something.
They gave up, 7 to Minnesota
Yeah,
last night?
they got slaughtered.
Well, you know what? I heard a stat the other up until last night.
Right.
That Edmonton had not scored a third-period goal, which I thought was – I mean, it was only, 4 or 5 games, but they scored one last night, but they still got beat.
I love how people pick them at the beginning of the year to win it all. It's nuts. First goal in the first 10 minutes, no to the no. So these are no goals in the first 10 minutes of the game. St. Louis Blues 5-1 to the no. Boston 4-2. Anaheim 4-2. Arizona 4-2. San Jose 4-2. Those are the no teams in the first period.
Boston
first 10 minutes
too.
Yes, they're playing well. There's
are.
3 undefeated teams, I think. But anyway, power play point betting, I think, is a really good value, so keep an eye on that. You're getting a decent percentage. And check the power play percentages in the penalty kill. Tonight, and it's not going to do you any good now, but like the New Jersey Devils the other night, I saw that their power play was scoring at a ridiculous rate. Now, it's very early, so it's hard to tell how well that's going to continue. But last night they were good again. Like, so look at these teams. If you see a team is really good in the power play versus a team is really bad in the penalty kill, go into DK or Bet Rivers or FanDuel, look for the power play points, and go into one of the face-off sites. Look at the line combinations. Look at who's playing on the power play of these teams, and play guys. There's 5 guys out there, and Chris will tell you 3 guys can get points on 1 goal. So up to 3 guys. So you can take shots if you bet 2 or 3 of the lowest odd guys. Like, I'm not talking about the superstar. So I usually leave them out because they're probably plus $180, $2, whatever, get a power play point. Crosby's usually around that range, plus 175, whatever. But you can get like the other point man or their off defenseman or whatever. That's all he needs is 1 touch of the puck, and you cash your bet, and you can cash 2 to 3 tickets on 1 goal. So you don't get that a lot. So if you have a tic-tac-toe with your 3 guys, you've won and you covered everything you need to worry about for the night. So
play,
I seriously tell people, look into those numbers and study them, because they're worth taking a shot at, and you can get good prices on guys. And a lot of these teams are very power play dependent, so you want to keep an eye on it. The Devils are one of those teams right now.
Yeah,
I believe the Red Wings too. Mm-hmm. 2 very good power play teams. Alex DeBrincat, really good in front of the net. So I keep an eye on those teams. Though obviously, as we get more data, we'll have more info. But power play points is something that I'm trying to focus on a lot this year.
And I think Jersey's going to be fun to watch. That Jack Hughes already has 14 points.
They're very good. Tyler Toffoli had a hat trick last night. I think at least one of the goals was a power play goal. So not much to say about the NBA. I put up some win totals and some division winners that I liked the other day. BLS_PRP if you want those. We'll talk more about the NBA as we go along. But we got to get to the NFL because we got Sam coming up for racing here. All right. Well, it's week number 8. This is usually.
So it was week 17.
Yeah, or 18. Me too. This is usually around the time where you start to say teams really suck or they really don't suck, but there's not that many teams that don't suck. So skipping Thursday's game, let's just get right to it. 1 o'clock kick. Saints at Colts. Colts minus 1.5. Total 43.5. I don't know. I like under in this game. I don't like either one of these teams. Saints are on a pretty good under roll. Colts have quarterbacking issues. Colts scored a lot last week. I don't think Minshew plays good 2 weeks in a row, so I'm on the under. Chris, what do you say?
I'm taking the Colts. I think Bruce Allen with the Saints, Derek Carr is just not a very good quarterback, I don't think. Olave got
arrested.
Yeah, and then he told the guy he played for the Saints. Like he's going to catch a break. I know, exactly. So I like the Colts at home. I mean, they played – well, actually, they should have beat the Browns at home. So I think they'll handle the Saints.
Okay. Jacksonville at the Steelers. It'll be the Jags minus 2.5. The total 42. What do you got here?
Well, you know who I want to win.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big win for the Steelers last week on the road out in L.A. I think they'll come home and play pretty well. Kenny Pickett, as much as I hate to say that, it looks like he could be pretty good. So I'm taking the Steelers.
All right.
And I hope to hell I'm wrong.
I'm going to go with Jacksonville and under in the game. Lean Jacksonville. I won't bet them because I know the Steelers will fucking win. So, but I'll play it under. I still think Steelers struggle to run the ball, and I think it'll be a low-scoring game. Houston at Carolina. Both teams off a bye. Houston minus 3. Total 43. I read Houston's 0-3 off their last 3 bye weeks, which isn't good. But Carolina's 2-6 off their last 8 bye weeks. Sharp money on Carolina. I don't know how. I mean, I want to try to back this team. I backed them the first 3 weeks of the year. It did me no good, so I'll just be going with the under here, Chris.
I'm going to take the Panthers getting is it 3?
Yeah, if you can get 3 in the hook.
I mean, they're 0-6. I know they're playing at home, but I don't know how good the Texans are. So I'm going to take a wild-ass guess and take the points.
Nothing wrong with that. Philadelphia at Washington. It'll be the Eagles minus 6.5, total 43.5. Eagles back in the win column against the soft-ass Dolphins, who are very good on offense, but when physical teams play them, they're going to struggle. Commanders, just horrific. They had a lot of chances against the Giants. Yeah. Those teams are so bad. Redskins are I don't know. I kind of lean. If I can get over a touchdown here, I'll probably take them. They'll play. Yeah. They've been playing Philly tough the last couple of years.
Yeah, so. They usually keep these games close in Washington. I don't like the Commanders to win this game, but I think it'll stay close.
Yep, agreed. Rams at Cowboys. It'll be the Rams coming off a disappointing loss where they kind of faded in the second half, got a couple tough calls. But no excuse to lose. The Steelers drop passes by Cooper Kupp, which is very rare. It'll be Dallas minus 6.5, total 45. Big Mike, 11-4 off the bye. He's a little better than I thought. I had the Rams circled, but I don't know. When I get numbers like that on Big Mike, I probably have to pass. So I thought maybe, just maybe, I like the over in this game. But
just maybe I'm taking the Rams. Getting the 6.
Good.
I don't know. I didn't know that stat about Big Mike, but the Rams played. I mean, I don't know if they played great last week, but they hung in there with the Steelers.
Yeah, they're not bad. I like the Rams.
Better than what I expected.
Yeah,
so
6.5 is too many, I think. Yeah. So, Patriots at the Dolphins. It'll be the Dolphins minus 9.5, total 47. See if the Dolphins can start beating up on people again. They don't have a win against a team that has more than 2 wins. I think.
You may have seen this, but I saw that something about the teams that they had beaten were combined 8-25.
Yeah.
And then they got their shit kicked in by who
Bills and Eagles, two teams that are decent.
And the Bills scored like 40 on them, and the Eagles scored 31.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and that game really wasn't even as close as it was. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I like the over probably a little bit in the game. Dolphins can score. That's about all I can say.
Yeah, and hard to believe the Patriots scored in the 20s last night.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, beating the Bills. So I'm taking the Patriots.
Okay. All right. Battle of New York in the Meadowlands, or MetLife Stadium. It used to be the Meadowlands. It'll be the Jets at the Giants. The Giants home game here. It'll be Jets minus 3. Total 36.5. The Jets 4-8 off the bye week in their last 12. I don't know. Robert Saleh wasn't the coach to all those, so I don't know why those stats even apply. But I lean Jets here. Giants won a game last week. No way they can win 2 in a row. I think the Giants absolutely stink. They really, really suck. I'd probably lean to the under in this game too.
Matt, I have the under circled. I think both of these offenses are terrible. The quarterbacking play has been awful. So I'm going under.
All right, keep it moving. Another great game. Falcons at the Titans. It'll be the Falcons minus 2.5. 36.5 is the total here. Atlanta has been very good against the spread. 8-2 in this. And I know I have a note written down, but I can't read what it says. Sorry. Tennessee 4-0-1 off the bye. So that is a good stat for me for Vrabel. So I am making the Titans my best bet of the week in the NFL. I'll be taking them at home. I don't know what their quarterback situation is, but they had 2 weeks to figure out whether they're going to play Will Levis or Malik Willis.
They announced Levis.
Did they? Oh,
yeah,
good.
I heard that
well,
today.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see. That could be tough. So maybe an under. Chris, your Falcons have been scrappy. They've been better. Ritter hasn't fucked up quite as many times, although
he's still keeping his job, right?
Yeah, he's been a little better. So They've been okay.
You know what, Matt? I originally had Tennessee. I didn't know that they were changing quarterbacks, although Ritter's been pretty bad, but they're 4-3. I don't know if they can. I can't see the Falcons going on the road.
Yeah, I can't.
2 weeks in a row and winning.
They can't lay points on the road.
So I'm sticking with the Titans.
All right, I like it. We'll see. That's probably a recipe for disaster, friends, with me and him on the same game.
Yeah.
Minnesota at Green Bay, big division battle. It'll be the Vikings -1 on the road, 42.5. I really want to take Green Bay in this game. Everything says Minnesota played out their ass the other night. I don't know how. Cousins looked good other than his first pass getting picked off. But they win the game against San Francisco. Everything, if you pay attention to Minnesota Vikings, says they will regress here and lose. But my God, Matt LaFleur. I'm finally actually happy the Packers stink because everybody tried to run Rodgers out of there and say, like, oh, they'll be better without him. Fuck you. You're an idiot if you think that.
Yeah.
This guy covered up all the deficiencies of that stupid coach.
Yes,
Matt LaFleur is a clown. He shouldn't have a job. He looks like a little baby on the sidelines. Get your shit together. 42.5 is too many points for a total. I'm playing the game under and probably maybe leaning the Packers, but I can't bet that buffoon.
Well, I'm taking the Vikings. I was very impressed with them on Monday night hosting the Niners. And they went through that defense.
Brings you back to when Brad Childress was their coach. Huh?
Yeah, Childers, clown. So and the Packers they don't score very many points.
Absolutely,
they're not very good.
Laid an egg on the road. Jordan Love cannot play. Should be out of the league. He should be fucking driving a bus in downtown Wheeling. All right. Browns on the road at Seattle. It's a tricky game. Deshaun Watson ruled out here a little bit ago. It'll be the Seahawks -3.
Fucking
Total
asshole.
39.5. I like the over in this game, but now I can't bet that since Deshaun, right before we came on, said he will not play. So hope he gets a good massage and he'll be back down the road. But I don't know.
Enjoy your next paycheck.
I probably lean towards Seattle here, Chris.
Matt, this is going to be my play of the week. I just can't see the Browns going up there with P.J. Walker. I mean, Seattle plays pretty well at home.
Apparently, they said Thompson Robinson might start.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't
today.
mind seeing that. Now, when he did play the one weekend we were at the Pine Room watching that, he had like 1 or 2 days to prepare. They didn't even know he was going to play.
Sure.
So maybe if they did give him a full week, but I still think the Seahawks are better than I thought.
Okay.
I'm taking them as my pick to beat the Browns and cover the spread.
Okay.
I hate to do it, but
I understand. Kansas City Chiefs on the road at the Denver Broncos. Chiefs -7.5, total 46. Chiefs just continue to be business-like, win the games they need to win. They don't look too flashy. Defense has been pretty solid. Sharp money on the Broncos. I don't get it. It's Chiefs or nothing for me here, Chris.
I think this game's going to go under. Chiefs will win, but I mean, both defenses. Well, the Chiefs' defense is very good, so I'm not so sure about the Broncos. I mean, they're 2-5. I mean, used to be when you played at Denver, you had
a very lucky 2-5. They beat the Bears and the Packers.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
And the Bears game was up 28-7.
Yeah, but back in the day when you look at the schedule, like, oh shit, we got to. At the end of October, we got to go to Denver. That sounds like a fucking game we're not going to win. But now it's like they're like a pushover. But I'm just taking the under.
Okay, good call. Cincinnati on the road at San Francisco. Bengals off the bye. Be 49ers -5.5, total 45. 49ers lost 2 in a row. Strange to say that. They did not play well against Minnesota. They played okay against Cleveland. It was just a weird game, and the Browns made just enough plays, a couple missed kicks. Game's different. I don't think San Francisco is bad at all. I think they'll be dangerous here. I like them laying the points here. I still won't be a Bengal backer yet. They got to show me more. The wins they've had this year have not been against good teams, so we'll see. I'm on the Niners.
Well, I'm going to take the Bengals just because of the bye week. And the Niners are a little bit banged up. I mean, Deebo Samuel's still out, I believe, and
he'll be out.
So we'll see what Burrow and company does out there with the Niners. I mean, one thing I want to mention, and I think it's funny because last week when the Browns gave up 38 points and the 49ers gave up Well, I don't know how many the
Vikings 31,
yeah.
I think.
But it's just funny. Those defenses roll for all these weeks.
Yeah,
and then the minute they give up a bunch of points, the message boards, the sky's falling. Our defense sucks. Jim Schwartz.
The offense just figured
exactly.
the offensive coaches are allowed to adjust. Like
right.
they can
that
make
doesn't mean the defense
they can have a good game plan one week, right?
Like the 49ers still have a great defense.
Yeah.
So do the Browns. But you just have those
People
odd weeks. I know. So, but I think this. I'm going to take the Bengals, but I wouldn't be surprised if it stayed under 2.
Yep. Ravens at Cardinals. Ravens minus 8.5 on the road. Total 43.5. I mean, I imagine the Ravens will probably have a shot of winning this game, but I would not lay 8.5 with them. I think that this is a game that they kind of could piss around and only win by a field goal.
Absolutely.
They possibly could lose too.
I mean, even though they're 1-6, Cardinals playing at home,
they play hard.
They compete. And I thought they would be just getting blown out every week, but they really haven't.
They've been nice.
So, and the Ravens coming off a big win, they beating the shit out of the Lions.
Yep.
I see the Ravens winning by a field goal.
Yep, agreed. Bears at Chargers Sunday night game. Oh God, why isn't there a World Series game on Sunday? Damn it.
I know.
Chargers minus 8.5, 46.5 to total. I cannot lay 8 points with the Chargers. I had the Bears last week. Had the Bears and the Giants both come through. I don't know how that happened. But I cannot lay the 8.5 with the Chargers. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I think they'll win this game, and they absolutely have to win this game. But I cannot lay 8.5, even with a D2 quarterback. I'll probably regret that. Possibly I'm leaning to the under in the game, but I don't know. I don't have a play.
I'm going with the Chargers only because they're due for a win, and like a convincing win, even though it's the Bears, and then they got that kid from Shepherd. The Bears do as starting quarterback. He's going to start on
right
the spotlight on the Sunday night game. That's like the premier time slot of the whole week. So I'm going to gamble and take the Chargers given the points.
All right, best of luck with that one. Monday Night Football, our final one. Raiders at Lions. Lions minus 8, total 45. I think the Lions will bounce back, but, man, I hate laying 8. That's just a lot in the NFL. I'm leaning Lions. I'll probably take the Lions first half at least. I cut that in half. I think the Lions are the better team. They're better coached, and they're going to be very, very – they got humbled pretty badly last week, so I think they'll come out with a big performance.
I feel the exact same way. They're coming home. The friendly confines.
Josh McDaniels doesn't travel well.
He doesn't do anything well as far as
no, he does not.
No. So the Raiders, they're not good. So
yep.
I think that the Lions will win this one by about 17. So
okay,
I'm taking the Lions.
All right. I didn't get the coaches' picks. We're running short on time. We're going to get Sam on here, so I will have those on the social media. So if you want coaches' best bets, check them out. Chris and mine will be posted as well. All the best bets of the weekend, college and pro. We're going to take a quick break. Be back, talk a little racing with Sam the Man from Upper St. Clair. It's BLS. Matt and Chris here with you. We'll be right back.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in. Bettor's Last Stand here. Matt and Chris here in the studio. Sam joining us now after a off week last week as our schedules were all weird. Sam, how's everything? Good to have you back on the program.
Yeah, things are good. I thought it was fall. It's 72 degrees right now, so I have no clue what's going on, but baseball is going to end soon, so
it's kind of sad.
It's starting to make sense.
Let's talk about baseball right out of the chute. D-backs do the unthinkable. Win 2 in Philadelphia. Chris and I were talking about how Philadelphia looked like they were tightening up a little bit in Game 6. Guys were gripping the bat a little tight, and it was not a good appearance, at least in their. They looked like they were in their own heads. What did you think of those 2 games in Philly, Game 6 and 7?
I mean, they were awesome. It was like the D-backs played some simple baseball. They just made contact. They got on base and
moved runners.
Honestly, just right. You move runners over, then it was awesome.
Yeah, stealing
I
bases.
really think that. Yeah, I think the D-backs. They're my pick. I can't lie.
I agree. Chris likes Texas slightly. I'm leaning Arizona. I don't see why not. I probably bet Texas in game one. I think Arizona's traveled a lot. They might be a little jet lag, a little hungover, but I like them in the series. I think now they got some confidence. They're starting. Now they got 3 guys they can rely on. Their bullpen's been really good. Marte's been awesome. Carroll's starting to hit. I mean, they got stuff's coming together for them. Now Texas is not going to be a pushover, but I like the Diamondbacks pitching better than the Rangers.
I do too, and I almost like the Diamondbacks bats more. Like, just speaking off recency bias,
Right.
but I mean, what the D-backs need to do is find a way to like silence one of those bats in the lineup,
Right.
like Garcia or Seager, or
and that's going to be tough because those guys are incredibly good, especially Seager. He's a guy that will basically take whatever you give him. So Garcia could go into ruts though if they can figure out how to attack him. So we'll see.
I know.
Should be a good one though. I'm expecting at least a 6-game series. What do you think?
Yeah, I hope we get a good World Series because I mean, who would have guessed that the Rangers and the D-backs would have been the final two? You know, that's.
Yeah, literally, probably last week
tough.
you're thinking it was Rangers and Phillies, and then after the Astros win on Friday the way they did, you thought it was going to be Phillies-Astros, and now it's Diamondbacks-Rangers. So
crazy.
Complete reversals on every front. So that's what makes baseball great, though, right, Chris?
Absolutely. And I was just going to say, you would think because everybody put so much emphasis on home field. Well, that didn't fucking help the Phillies one bit in Game 6.
It didn't help the Astros either.
No, I mean they lost.
They lost all 4 at home.
It's crazy.
So I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you want to get to home field, but really, how important is it? I don't know, but apparently. It proved everybody wrong, or that it didn't come into play in these 2 series. So,
and it was weird. During this whole playoffs, this like Bryce Harper just talking over and over, like, "Oh, I love Philly. Philly's so great. So he was so drunk with like the crowd, and you just can't believe it. This is so great. Well, you didn't fucking make the World Series, bud.
No.
Like Matt said earlier too, in Philadelphia, how they could turn on that guy in a heartbeat next year.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably keyed his car already since last night. So,
jeez.
Anyway, couldn't happen to a nicer city. So F off.
It's a shame.
Yeah, and the Flyers won't be winning anything, so we're good. We're good. We might have to worry about the Eagles, but we're good until spring as far as Philadelphia winning anything. So, all right, let's jump into racing here. See the F1 boys. They were at COTA last week. We had the Grand Prix of the United States. I didn't get to see as much of this race as I wanted to. I watched some of it on DVR. Obviously, Max, pretty tough. He's hard to beat. You and I were talking about it on Saturday. You asked how many laps before he took the lead, and I don't remember. When did he take the lead? Because I don't remember.
It was later in the race.
Yeah, I think it was
probably been like the 30s, maybe mid-30s.
But I mean,
once he got the lead,
laps. He only led 26 laps. So, so not the easiest win for him, but nonetheless, it was a good one. One thing I wanted to ask you about: you had some big guys that had bad days. Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, all have bad days. Whether they had under tray issues, crashes, technical failures. Thoughts on what happened with all those guys, and just thoughts on the race at COTA overall.
I don't know. I mean, it was weird because when I texted you what happened to Esteban Ocon, I wasn't sure, and then they showed the Piastri and him like colliding. And I don't know if it was just, I don't know, because like Leclerc and Hamilton got DQ'd that night.
That night, yeah.
Yeah, which I really still don't understand much about it other than that tray under their car.
Yeah, I don't really know either. They didn't really give you a whole lot, but yeah, I mean, you immediately go from DQ technical failures to wherever they finish. Because of course, I had Mercedes double top 6. That fucked me. So it was it was typical.
Totally,
it was typical. It wasn't a great week for me. Sergio Perez shows some signs of life, and as we head to Mexico, maybe he's trending upward. What do you think about him?
Yeah, he needs to because he's, dude, they could get rid of his ass so quick as soon as the season's ends. It doesn't matter how good he does,
I think it's done. I mean, even if he wins this week, I think it's over for him at Red Bull. It's probably time to move on, probably for him and the team.
Yeah. If you get a bad outcome in your home track coming up there, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and he has run well here. He was third last year as we head down to Mexico this weekend. Max won the race, led 61 laps. Lewis Hamilton was a leader for 6 of the laps. Mercedes led 12 overall because George Russell led 6 as well. Fernando Alonso had a horrible performance. I think his engine blew up last year. And, so it was double podium for Red Bull. I would say this is Sergio Perez's last chance to maybe win a race ever in his career. What do you think?
Yeah, because this car's probably not going to get any better. I mean, they might just give him a shit car.
Yeah,
they might say, Sergio, here you go, bud. Welcome home.
Mexico. Yeah.
It's going to be tough. There's some weird things that are going to happen in this race, though, I think. I think Valtteri Bottas is going to have a great race.
Good.
I really do.
Well,
I think
a
top 10 for Valtteri is going to be in the books.
I would like to see that because, as we talked before, that guy's good. Like, I'd like to see him go into Sergio Perez's ride and see how much better he would do.
That would be awesome.
Because I think Bottas gets phased out of Mercedes basically because they want to take the shot with the younger George Russell, which I get. But, man, he was still running well when he was driving a Mercedes.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
He did nothing wrong.
No. He was winning races. He was leading a lot of laps. He had a lot of fastest laps each week. Definite contender. So, yeah, keep an eye on Valtteri. Anybody else you like under the radar, or is Verstappen roll again?
I think the AlphaTauri top 10 because Yuki Tsunoda was a P10 here. He was P10 last week, and he ran well here the year before. I think it's possible. One thing I did notice, though, that if you're in, I guess we'll say P5 to P7, you're typically a lap down at some point.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, when I looked at all the numbers, it was positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then after that, everybody else was a lap down. So something happens. I don't know why my memory doesn't, recall what goes on and why the difference is so big. But
interesting.
Yeah, a lot of the numbers for these past races years ago, pretty much 7. If you're in P7, you're going to be on the lap, the correct lap, and if you're not,
well, that's an interesting thing about if you can actually, you can bet cars to finish on the lead lap. That's not a common thing as much in Formula One, but in NASCAR it is. But yeah, no, that's intriguing. If you think there's only going to be 6 or 7 cars on the lead lap, that's definitely worth a peek. Anything else intrigue you about Mexico?
I mean, not much. I don't know if the Alpines are going to do well. I just feel like Gasly and Ocon are just a weird combo still.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lewis is going to run well. They ran very well at Coda, and if they had 2 more laps, he would have won the race without a doubt.
Yeah, and your boy Lance Stroll has a good finish. Amazing. We're fading him, and here he comes.
He just sticks around, man. He's like
7th
a fly.
place. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's move on to the stock car boys now as we head down to the final 2 races of the year. We're heading to Martinsville. We got Phoenix next week, Homestead in the books. Chris Bell gets it done at Homestead. He's into the Final 4 for next week already. Man, I had William Byron in this race, and I was really hoping that he could have pulled it out, but he did not. I was also going to be happy if Ryan Blaney could have because I have him on a ticket to win the title. Since I thought we talked a couple weeks ago about it, he was worth a long shot because he ran well at the 4 tracks that were left or the 5 tracks that were left. What'd you think of the race at Homestead? And is Chris Bell a serious contender now? Can he win this thing?
It seemed like it. I thought Homestead was pretty awesome. I mean, Bell was good. Weird things happen. I mean, Truex and Hamlin, you can't do that.
Killed me.
Yeah, seriously, you can't do that. I mean, Buescher's done.
Yeah.
Unless he wins, which.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd
Matt,
say unlikely.
That's not happening.
Not at these tracks.
No.
Or not at this track.
No. But, I mean, Allmendinger finishing in the top 5, that's always an eyebrow raiser.
He's looking back, he has ran well there. It's weird. I noticed, and last week we weren't on to talk about it, but I did notice that some of the guys who are good road racers had run well at Homestead. So I don't know if it's something about the way that the guys shift there or their braking sequences. I don't know what it is, but I saw that a lot of good road racers, McDowell even had good results at Homestead, and Allmendinger, as you mentioned. So, yeah, that was something. Ty Gibbs ran well. Yeah. He's another guy that's really good on a road course. So I thought that was intriguing, something to keep in my mind for Homestead down the road. But yeah, I thought it was a good race. I was hoping William Byron could pull it out, but wasn't so lucky. Shifting over to Martinsville now. I like this track. It tests people, and it can also be one of these tracks that if you suck at it, you're going to always suck at it. If you like it, you're going to always like it. So who are you looking at here at the big paperclip?
All right, I'll give you some sleepers first.
Okay.
Just a couple sleepers you could probably – they might sneak their way up into the top 10. I'm going with a Briscoe.
I like it.
Dylan, and Eric Jones.
Like them all. I definitely had Briscoe on my list as a potential guy. I know Austin Dillon's run well here in the past. And Eric Jones, as we mentioned before, has had a pretty good run of cars and performances. He just had a lot of bad luck. He's had good cars. He just either something happens, he gets collected, his tires blow or something. But, no, I like all those. I definitely had Briscoe in the mix as a guy who's been a consistent top 10 runner here at Martinsville in the past. So definitely a guy that likes his track. I had one other little bit of a dark horse, Alex Bowman. I looked at him. He was my guy kind of under the radar. And believe it or not, that you can't really discount him and you can't really call him under the radar, but he's not getting talked about because he's not in the chase anymore. Actually, there's two guys, but Joey Logano has an average finish of 4.7 average placing here in the last 7 races, and he's about 15 to 17 to 1. And Chase Elliott, he's led 765 laps here in the last 7 races, and he's almost 20 to 1. So why couldn't he win?
He's in my names I like category. Joey Logano is my winner.
Yeah,
he is my circled winner on my paper right here.
All right, I can get behind that. I think he's.
I had 3 people. I was between Hamlin, Blaney, and Logano.
Yeah, well, I had all 3 of those guys in my mix as well. Chris, what are your thoughts on this showdown at Martinsville?
Well, I was just going to ask you now because you mentioned Chase Elliott and how many laps he's led. Is Champ going to bet him, you think?
I don't know. He's drifting up to 20 to 1. Champ don't usually touch guys that high. It's a little high for him.
That's right. Okay. You know what? Who I like I like Tyler Reddick in this race.
Okay.
I don't really know why, but he's got a pretty good price on that. So, and it looks like the Toyotas might be favored as far as the winning.
Yeah, I mean, Denny Hamlin's going to be strong.
Yes.
My pick to win is Martin Truex, and it's kind of a wishful pick because I have him to win the title, and I need him to win this race.
You need it.
I need him bad. I had it way back in February. I need Truex or Blaney, so I'm going kind of not with my heart, kind of my brain, my heart. But those are guys that that will really help me if I can. But I think they both have a chance. So, but I agree with Sam. I think Logano has a really good chance here. And Denny Hamlin, he's just so hard to beat at this track. He's just very good. William Byron is good at this track. Chris Bell's ran well here, and you can't ever count out Larson either. So this race really has a lot on the line. It should be great. Really looking forward to it.
I want to throw somebody else in the sleepers, and that would be Ty Gibbs. I think Ty Gibbs should be thrown into the sleepers. Awesome. He has had an underrated season.
Yes, very consistent, though, for him.
Yes, very consistent. But it has been definitely trending way more upwards this second half.
Yeah.
What is his rookie season or second? Ty Gibbs.
Rookie.
Okay.
Right?
Rookie.
Yeah, because him and Noah Gragson coming together.
Right,
Noah didn't even make it through the first half of the season.
Dude, it's just the worst Cup season ever.
Let me ask you this. We mentioned about RFK, about Busher starting to fade. Keselowski's only like 8 to 1 in this race. Thought that was a little low. I thought that was a little low for him. They've kind of faded off. They had a really good run there, about 10 races where they were in the top 5 every week. Probably leveled off a little bit. Do you see Brad having any shot here in this one?
Yeah, I think he has a shot. I mean, they've definitely been consistent, but they haven't been what they were, like you said, those last 10 races. I did this. They picked the wrong time, I guess, to have a run, you know?
Yeah, but hey, their team has made incredible, dramatic improvements from last year.
We're talking about them. I mean, look at me.
Exactly. And after you had Brad ready to retire back in February.
I did. I sent him flowers. How crazy is that?
All right, so your winner is Logano. Chris is going with Reddick, and I'm going with Martin Truex Jr. this week. Anything else to add here, Sam, on the Cup race in Martinsville?
One other name that I didn't mention, actually 2 I see. Excuse me, Eric Almirola and Ross Chastain. I know Chastain's not in it, but
Chastain's dangerous here. I think he's a guy that I could see wreaking some havoc, getting his name back in in the news again.
No, I know.
Because he definitely has. They just haven't had the consistency they've needed this year.
No.
But him and Suarez both. But I expect them. They still haven't had terrible years. They've been up and down. But I expect them to bounce back. And I think this will be a good race. And it's kind of sad that we only got 2 of these left.
I was just going to mention that, Matt. I mean, this even though they usually have a 36 race schedule, it's like we're down to the second to the last one, and that was always something we've had fun with watching. I wish we had more like get-togethers just for NASCAR only like we used to. Just have NASCAR parties.
Yeah.
Which,
well, maybe we should start doing.
Well,
that
we
again.
should. We should. So it's made a comeback, and
Yep.
good luck to both you guys. And Sam, you kill it, man.
Yeah. So
I'll try.
Yeah. So Sam, let's get your final thoughts on this. So we got Chris Bell and Kyle Larson both into the final with victories the last 2 weeks. Right now, William Byron and Ryan Blaney are holding on to the 3rd and 4th spots above the cut line. So 4 racers make it to the final at Phoenix for our listeners that aren't aware of that. Do Byron and Blaney, are they the ones that make it through? Or do one of the other guys, Reddick, Truex, Hamlin, or Busher? I know you don't think Busher. I think Busher is done. But I don't see why Hamlin or Truex couldn't make it. And then Chris likes Reddick. So
I know. That's the thing. I think Blaney's in some dangerous territory.
I know, he is.
And even Byron is.
One
I can't
mechanical
lie.
issue. Yep.
Right, because Blaney last race he got 53 points, which made him only 10 back from where he. It's anything. Any of those bottom 4, they are totally in this.
Yep. No, I agree. Chris, what do you think? Do you think?
Well, you know what? I really don't know enough about it, but I did want to ask you guys a question here. We always talk about baseball and when the pressure and the lights are shining bright. What's it like with these NASCAR teams when it comes down to this? And any little screw up or just a mechanical thing, like you said, or I mean, they got to be feeling it too.
Yeah,
I mean,
they definitely do. Pit crews definitely a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah, when you bring a car in there and you got to hurry up. I don't know. I think it's
over
fascinating.
The past years, Denny Hamlin had probably one of the better pit crews, but he has not had the best pit crew this year. I think William Byron's has been pretty strong. And Martin Truex, they've had a lot of Sam. You probably recall they had a lot of weird like penalties and stuff.
Yeah,
in
weird
clutch races the last few years. They seem to have corrected that a little bit this year, but seems like they always have something go awry. But I don't know. It's hard to rule out Hamlin in a situation like this as far as just stable and a good team.
I know. It's just like I think the whole thing is. I mean, it's kind of common sense. You just gotta be there in the end.
Yes, gotta survive.
You have to be there.
And Martinsville's a track that is grueling. And even if you get beat up a little bit, you get a little bit of damage, you can still race. So it's like. Because it's not super high speeds, but brake failures obviously a factor here. Tires melting off is a factor here.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you have that stuff happen to you, you're pretty much finished. But yeah, you got to survive any trouble early to have a chance.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Man, those bottom 4, they really any of those top 2 spots they could get it. It's crazy.
I know. I don't know what I guess like I don't want. William Byron's been the best driver all season, so I hate to have him go out, but I really want Truex and Blaney in there. So
Blaney was so good last week.
He was. He's had a good playoff. He's been good. So he's at least making me feel good about betting him at 12-1. So we shall see. Awesome stuff. We got 2 races left. So folks, enjoy those and best of luck. Sam. NBA started up. Hockey's about a week and a half in. Not much to talk about, I guess, in NBA quite yet. But any observations from the 2 games last night or the 16 games of NHL action, including our lowly Penguins, who continue to underperform?
Yeah, Penguins are the same team. I mean, you can't believe Tristan Jarry is our goalie for, like, the near future.
Forever.
Right. That's just crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know if they're just old, if it's just our time is done. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and Sullivan's already kind of seems like he's lost faith in Jarry because he played on Saturday night.
Yeah,
didn't play well, so so they got 2 days off. Sunday, Monday, and they come back with Nedeljkovic.
Yeah,
I mean that tells you what they think about him. That was the one thing I disagreed with on Cal Dubas re-signing that guy to 5 years.
It was a mistake.
That was definitely a mistake.
Yep. I mean, they'd have been better off bringing Marc-Andre Fleury back. I'd rather have him share time with the other guy. I at least would have been able to sleep at night over that. Not that I'm losing sleep, but you know what I mean. You can rest easy. Jarry's just a powder keg of disaster.
But if Dubas can get rid of like the Granlund contract, if he can get rid of this, I mean, come on, pull one more out of your sleeve.
Right. He's gonna.
Somebody will take this guy.
They got to if he can get Carter to go.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. It's just I just think they're probably going to need a change. Unfortunately, of Sullivan.
Yeah.
They gotta change something. They're not changing anything.
And they just really like. I know he did. I don't want to say he made change for the sake of change, but he did. Those bottom 6 guys were basically all different now, with the exception of Carter. But are these guys really any good? Are they any different? I mean, I know 6 games is a small sample size, but they've shown nothing so far. Like Matt Nieto and Noah Chari. I mean, they're just out.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the whole style of the team from top to bottom. It just seems stale and outdated. Like Sam said, it's the same old.
Well, and we keep saying the same thing.
And you bring Carlson in, and it's like he just becomes like average now.
Yes,
like it's not him.
It's got to be this.
Can't be him.
No, it cannot be if the guy scored 101 points last year on one of the worst teams in hockey.
Right.
So to me, the common denominator is Sullivan.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And I'm not a proponent of firing him, but sometimes you have to do that just to.
Yeah, I mean, ownership has the easy route out too. They can say, "We didn't hire this guy; he's not our guy."
Right.
We're moving on.
I expect something to happen here.
Well, I don't think he sits on his hands like Hextall and Burke did.
Yeah.
So did you hear Madden say they saw him after the game?
He was really pissed off.
He said, Madden said, I didn't even.
Dubas, that is.
Yeah, He said, He said, I saw him, but he was fuming. I didn't even talk to him. So, Hextall would have probably just been, all right, Berkey, where are we going to get dinner after the game? He didn't give a fuck. So I don't know. So maybe he'll. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how that all works, but
Hextall shouldn't have been able to go out anywhere other than Get-Go to get his food.
That's about
what he deserves. So, Sam, anything NBA wise that stuck out to you after two games so far? Lots of games tonight, but
Jokic triple double.
Yeah, shocker.
Davis just 18, it's like 7 and 4 or whatever the fuck he did. Just
Davis, did I hear right that he didn't score in the second half? Is that right?
Yeah. It was.
It's almost impossible,
Chris. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense.
Not much does in that league, sadly.
No. Cavs host Brooklyn tonight.
Ooh,
yeah,
big one.
Yeah, huge Eastern Division matchup.
Yep.
That's actually a good game, though. Honestly.
Yeah.
If you like basketball,
Eastern Conference will be. All right. Sam, anything in college or pro football this weekend?
I got some pro football, nothing in college.
Ooh, all right. Here we go. Fire.
All right. Tomorrow, Gabe Davis is a plus 225 anytime touchdown. I don't care for the Buccaneers.
That's a good call.
For let's see here. The Steelers-Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence has an over-under of 1.5 touchdowns, which is plus 110. I think that's easy money. I think the Steelers get lit up all the time by average quarterbacks.
Okay.
And I have one more. Alec Pierce is a plus 400 to score against the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, I like it. Alec Pierce.
How you like that? Cincinnati's finest.
Beautiful. All right. So Gabe Davis, anytime touchdown. Alec Pierce, anytime touchdown. Trevor Lawrence, over 1.5 touchdown passes.
Correct.
Good stuff. Sam, thanks as always for your time. It was wonderful to catch up with you again. Hope you enjoyed the Mountaineer tailgate last week. Heard it was a good time.
Tailgate was fun. The game was interesting.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about those holes there for the running back from Oklahoma State? God.
Buyouts should be illegal for coaches like Neil Brown. He shouldn't have one in his contract because this is ridiculous.
Actually, none of them should. It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, we could talk about that forever. So.
All right, Sam. Thanks for everything, buddy. Great analysis as always. We will see you probably next week, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good talking to you, fellas.
All right,
Talk
pal.
to you.
Yep.
See you.
We'll see you next
Sammy.
week. All right, that does it for Sammy, and that's going to do it for us here on another episode of Bettor's Last Stand. Chris, thanks for joining.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much.
We shall see you next week here in the Pine Room Studios. Be sure to check us out on The Watchdog. We had head coach Derek Army from the Wheeling Nailers on the other day. It was a wonderful interview. Jub's going to have that up. We were at the Freeland Farm last night for a Halloween show. If you haven't checked out our show at the prison or we're having the interview we did with Brenda from Horrifying History, that's going to be out as well. New soup and stuff just dropped. So lots of things going on. So check it out at the Pine Room Studios on social media and the YouTube channel, Pine Room Studios. And BLS_PRP for all our stuff. NBA season-long stuff. We'll have our best bets of the week. I didn't get the coaches because we ran out of time, but they'll be on there when you listen to the show on Friday. So enjoy. Have a good weekend. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll see you next week here in the Pine Room Studios on Bettor's Last Stand.
Happy Halloween.
Yes, sir. Happy Halloween. Wonderful.